Hi everyone, welcome to Traveling Misknits. My name is Pia and I am so happy that you're joining me here today for a little chat about my crafty adventures of the week. I am on vacation this week together with my husband Peter and our granddaughter, but they're away right now for their scuba diving class. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to sit down and chat about my knitting. And as I'm saying that, I am realizing that the first thing I want to talk about is actually crochet. It is what I'm wearing. It is my FO of the week. It is the cascade top that I crocheted up right before we left, just because a lot of my summer knits are actually in Italy and I didn't have much to bring. I wanted something exactly like this, something light and airy. This just goes perfectly with my summer wardrobe, because my summer wardrobe consists of swimsuits and cut-off jeans, and then I like to wear just a little something on top to make me feel a little more put together. But I definitely don't want to add any warmth to my outfit. And for that, this cascade top is perfect. I am kind of regretting not making it into a dress. I'm not sure I would have had enough yarn though, but there's definitely a cascade dress in my future. The pattern for the top is for both the top and the dress. It is a super simple, very gratifying project. It's one of those quick fixes where you could literally work this up in a day for sure, more or less in one setting. I just had a problem with my elbow. I have talked about that before. Sometimes when I am crocheting on a larger hook and in a stiff yarn, this is a cotton, so it is definitely stiff, my elbow will start to act up. So what I had to do was I'd have to work on it for a little while, then put it aside, do something else and pick it back up. And even so, I was able to finish it no problems in the couple of days from I got the idea until we had to leave home. It is worked top down. You start by working the front and the back separately. They work the same. Then you join the round and work the body to your preferred length. I made it just a little bit longer than the pattern calls for. Let me just see if I can get up here. I made it just a little bit longer than the pattern calls for. It is relatively cropped as a top, so I just made it a little bit longer. Yeah, just personal preference. I actually think I made it a little bit too long. I'm probably gonna go back at some point and pick out a couple of rounds at the bottom. What you then do is with the trimming, you create the top. On the front piece, you do this beautiful trim. And then on the back piece, you work a row of little holes where you pull these strings from the front through and cinch it in so that you get the waterfall or the cascade effect that is so pretty. I used some cotton that I found in my collection, some label-less cotton. It was I'm guessing a worsted weight, a rather heavy cotton. It was mercerized. So again, a really stiff yarn to work with, but it just turned out beautifully. So definitely when I'm gonna be working the dress, I'm gonna go for a similar yarn and just take my time working through it. Super simple pattern, very well written. The designer, after each row or round, they will let you know you're gonna have this many stitches so that you can always count and make sure that you're on track. So I am very, very happy with this. I am wearing it all the time. So I thought it would be only fitting to also wear it for the podcast. As for my knitting this week, I don't have a ton to show. I didn't bring a lot, both because I know from experience that I'm not gonna be working all that much on my knits. I'm gonna be chatting, I'm gonna be snorkeling, I'm gonna be hanging out with people, but still I wanted to bring something obviously to work on. And also, of course, I need options. I think we settled that on the last episode. The main project that I brought here is something that I also brought last year when we also went here. It is my knit blanket. I have been for some years now working up these squares. I knit them starting at the one of the points, and then I'm increasing until I reach the middle. I decrease, and I think maybe this will be the year that I finish it. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe. I am using some drops Puna for the project. At some point I bought a lot of skeins or balls of this drops Puna, which is 100% alpaca. And I bought it in all these earthy tones, like subdued earthy tones, some lighter, some darker, but they all went together very well. This yarn is so soft to the touch, which was probably why I bought it, that and the colors, of course. But honestly, I don't find this yarn very useful for garments for a couple of reasons. First, I am relatively sensitive to alpaca. Like if I hold it here, it's so prickly. It is so soft in the ball, but when it touches my skin, it just feels really prickly. It's an alpaca thing that, in combination with the fact that it has a lot of drape, has meant that I've tried knitting a garment with it. I never really liked it. I actually think I ended up ripping it out. So I was stuck with all of these odd balls of Puna in my collection. And then I decided, oh, all the things that I don't care so much for in a garment, that it's warm, that it's drapey, that's perfect for a blanket. And it's okay if a blanket is just a little bit prickly, because I'm not gonna put a blanket up here. I'm gonna have it around me over my legs or something. So perfect yarn for blanket making in my world. I wanted to come up with a square that used almost a full ball, just so that it would be easier for me to see, am I getting the right size for a blanket? Do I even have enough yarn? And where am I at? So I tried a couple of times and I decided on these squares. What I do is I cast on 4 stitches, and then I knit 2, I do a yarn over, then I knit to the last stitch, and I slip the stitch with the yarn held in front. And I keep doing that on every row until I have 70 stitches. That's up here. Once I have 70 stitches, I start the decreasing. And because the yarn overs create this row of little holes at the edge, I wanted to also recreate the holes on the side where I decrease. So what I do is I knit 2, I do a yarn over, and then I knit 3 together. So I'm decreasing out 1 stitch, and I'm also decreasing out the yarn over that I just made. And that actually makes for an edge that is very, very similar to the one with my increases. I keep doing it until I have 4 stitches left. I bind them off, and I have just a little tiny bit left, which in some balls it's a little more, in other balls it's a little less. I know that I'm not gonna run out, and maybe I'm gonna put a little fringe or some pom-poms or tassels or something. I don't know, once I finish it. I am gonna crochet the squares together. I found a tutorial on Instagram where you place the 2 squares like this next to each other. Then you put your crochet hook through 1 leg on 1 square and 1 leg on the other square. You catch the yarn and you pull through. So you're kind of slip stitching, but you're doing it on both squares. So you're crocheting them together, but you're not gonna have this clunky edge that you will get if you are doing single crochets to add them together. So I'm definitely gonna try that. We've only been here for what, 3, 4, is it day 5? Something like that. I have made 2 squares. I have started a 3rd, which that's not really a lot. I don't have any bragging rights, but I am having fun. This is a very nice project to sit with. Even though the alpaca is kind of fluffy, it's not like a mohair. It's not gonna get in my sunscreen or in my face or anything. It's not overly warm to be sitting with. Plus, even when the squares are almost done, they're not big, so they're not gonna bother me. And it is so very simple. What I'm doing to avoid counting my stitches all the time when I'm getting close to the middle is that when I have 52 stitches on my needle, or 42, I do it on different points, but when I at some point can see, oh, I'm getting closer, I'll count my stitches, and then I'll typically be at 50. So I will have 50 stitches in the middle. I will add 2 stitch markers to show me where my 50 stitches start and stop. And then it's easy for me to count that I have 10 stitches on either side, or 15 if I count at 40, so that I don't have to sit and count all of my stitches all the time, because that would drive me up the wall, and it would also make me a horrible conversation partner. So I want to be able to sit and hang out with people. We're a larger group traveling together, so there's always someone to hang out with and just sit and chat and enjoy the company of each other. So this is definitely my main project. I think I brought 9 balls, because if I finish 9 squares down here, then I actually think that I'll have a good size blanket when I come home. I am gonna block the squares. I did buy back in October when I was in Texas, I bought a granny square blocking board. So I have already blocked the squares that I have. When I come home, I'm gonna block the squares that I knit up here. And who knows? Who knows? I might have a blanket, and that would come in handy, because I can see that Denmark is white from snow, which, please let it stay until we're home. I love the snow. I did bring 2 other projects, because as I said, I need options. So I brought a project that I'm not gonna show this week, because there is really nothing to show. I am mentioning it because it's an interesting project. It is my cat number 7, because we have now set the date for the spring knit-a-thon. It is going to be the last weekend of March, and now I'm looking around for my calendar. I am pretty sure that it is March 29 that we're going to start. If I'm mistaken, I am going to correct myself in the down bar. But yeah, the last weekend of March, we're going to have the spring knit-a-thon. And of course, I want to have a cat number 7 pattern ready for that. I really enjoyed for the fall knit-a-thon to be able to publish the cat number 6 before the actual knit-a-thon, so that we could all be knitting on the same thing for the event. So I am plucking away at it. It is a sweater, so I am working on it only in the mornings. I typically wake up a lot earlier than my granddaughter. So does Peter, so we'll go out into the terrace and just sit there and knit and chat and relax for a while until she wakes up. And that's where I'm going to be working on the cat number 6. Maybe a little bit in the evenings as well, but I'm not bringing a sweater project to the beach. No chance. But next week, hopefully, I will have some significant progress to show you. For now, if you want to join us for the spring knit-a-thon, please mark the dates. And yeah, I really hope that you want to join us. If you do have a knitting or crochet podcast and you would like to contribute some content, yay! Please get in touch and I will make sure that you will get a time slot. It is such a joy to be able to share our knitting around the clock for those glorious 24 hours. After I had everything packed, everything was ready to go, we had one foot out of the door, I added a last-minute sock. That's what I'm calling it. I grabbed the socks that I started a while back. These socks with the colorful cuffs, heels, and toes. And then the sock itself is just going to be charcoal gray. I barely picked it up. There has not been a lot of work on this sock this week, but yeah, it's here, it's with me, and I thought I'd show you just in case, you know, maybe I will have it finished next week. We never know. The charcoal gray is just some Patton's Croy, their sock yarn, and it is called a Gentry Gray. Oops, maybe better like this. And then the cuffs, heels, and toes, I don't have that yarn with me, but I picked up a handful of mini skeins from Twisted Ambition Yarns when I was at the McKinney Knittery over in Texas. They were just laying there, this glorious array of wonderful colors. I just had to get some of them. So I got a handful of different colors, and I am gonna stripe them in on the cuffs, heels, and toes on these socks, and hopefully I'll have enough for a couple of socks at least. I don't think I'm gonna make them matching. I think I'm gonna make sister socks, which is also like, if I'm gonna be able to get 2 or maybe even 3 pairs of socks out of this, that's gonna be really convenient that I didn't make them exactly the same, because I do wash my socks in the machine, but my washing machine has this weird portal to a big black hole where socks go to die. I don't know what happens. I keep losing socks, all kinds of socks. I never lose anything else in the washing machine but the socks. So if I knit 4 or 5 or 6 socks that are the same gray sock and then just different stripes, then I can always take whatever the machine leaves for me and have a pair of socks. Sister socks. I like that idea. That was it for the creative content this week. Really not a lot, I realized that. But as I said in the beginning, we are away on vacation. We are back in the Maldives. We've been here a couple of times before, bringing our little granddaughter. We're a larger group of friends traveling together every year. And all the children and grandchildren are about the same age, so they really enjoy hanging out with their friends. They enjoy the freedom that comes from being on a smaller island, so they can just run wild. And yeah, we enjoy the snorkeling, the sun, the relaxing, the good company, chatting the nights away. It's difficult not to enjoy yourself right here, so I'm gonna get back to that. If my eyes have been wandering throughout this episode, it is because I have the most magnificent view in front of me. I really wanted to share the views with you, but I couldn't figure out a configuration where I would get decent light on the knitting and what I'm doing while sharing the views. So I decided to prioritize the knitting to make sure I had good lighting for that. And then I'm gonna bring you outside with me just for a quick peek at the beautiful Indian Ocean. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, stay happy, stay safe, and keep knitting.